office memorandum. Walter Neff to Barton Keyes, claims manager. Los Angeles, July 16th, 1938. Dear Keyes, suppose you'll call this a confession when you hear it. Well, I don't like the word confession. I just want to set you right about something you couldn't see because it was smack up against your nose. You think you're such a hot potato as a claims manager, such a wolf on a phony claim. Maybe you are. But let's take a look at that Dietrichson claim. Accident and double indemnity. You were pretty good in there for a while, Keyes. You said it wasn't an accident. Check. You said it wasn't suicide. Check. You said it was murder. Check. You thought you had a cold, didn't you? All wrapped up in tissue paper with pink ribbons around it. It was perfect. Except it wasn't because you made one mistake. Just one little mistake. When it came to picking the killer, you picked the wrong guy. You want to know who killed Dietrichson? Hold tight to that cheap cigar of yours, Keyes. I killed Dietrichson. Me, Walter Neff. Insurance salesman. 35 years old, unmarried, no visible scars. Until a while ago, that is. Yes, I killed him. I killed him for money. And for a woman. And I didn't get the money, and I didn't get the woman. Pretty, isn't it?
Double indemnity is an insurance clause that pays out double the policy limit if the insured individual dies due to an accident. It is a common provision, but for our intents and purposes, it defines the start of the film noir genre. Released in 1944, directed by Billy Wilder, he also co-wrote this film with famed hard-boiled detective writer Raymond Chandler. Double Indemnity weaves the captivating tale of insurance salesman Walter Neff, played by Fred McMurray, who on what appears to be a standard sales call, meets the sultry and alluring Phyllis Dietrichson, Barbara Stanwyck, and becomes instantly smitten. This leads Neff down a road of lust, murder, and deception. The film also features the fast-talking film legend Edward G. Robinson as Barton Keyes, an adjuster that sniffs out phony claims with ease. Fast-talking is a primary staple of film noir, and really drives this film with its biting dialogue and crisp words. First, we will hear the end of the initial conversation between Mrs. Dietrichson and Neff. The dialogue is so powerful, profound, and verbose here. Also, try and pick up on the innuendo between the two. And then at the conclusion of this scene, we hear another fantastic example of a film noir staple. Haunting voiceover narration by Neff.
You're a smart insurance man, aren't you, Mr. Neff?
Well, I've been at it 11 years.
Doing pretty well?
Well, it's a living.
You handle just automobile insurance or all kinds?
All kinds. Fire, earthquake, theft, public liability, group insurance, industrial stuff, and so on right down the line.
Accident insurance?
Accident insurance? Sure, Mr. Dietrichson. Wish you'd tell me what's engraved on that anklet.
Just my name.
As for instance?
Phyllis.
Phyllis, huh? I think I like that.
But you're not sure.
I'd have to drive it around the block a couple of times.
Mr. Neff, why don't you drop by tomorrow evening around 8:30? He'll be in then.
Who?
My husband. You were anxious to talk to him, weren't you?
Yeah, I was, but I'm sort of getting over the idea, if you know what I mean.
There's a speed limit in this state, Mr. Neff. 45 miles an hour.
How fast was I going, officer?
I'd say around 90.
Suppose you get down off your motorcycle and give me a ticket.
Suppose I let you off with a warning this time.
Suppose it doesn't take.
Suppose I have to whack you over the knuckles.
Suppose I bust out crying and put my head on your shoulder.
Suppose you try putting it on my husband's shoulder.
That tears it. 8:30 tomorrow evening, then.
That's what I suggested.
Will you be here, too?
I guess so. I usually am.
Same chair, same perfume, same anklet?
I wonder if I know what you mean.
I wonder if you wonder. It was a hot afternoon, and I can still remember the smell of honeysuckle all along that street. How could I have known that murder can sometimes smell like honeysuckle? Maybe you would have known, Keys, the minute she mentioned accident insurance. But I didn't. I felt like a million.
When dissecting this film, it would be near criminal to not talk about the performance of Edward G. Robinson. This film is, in my opinion, his most underrated performance. As Barton Keyes, he steals the scene every time he appears. His mannerisms, voice, and natural short stature make him the perfect claims adjuster. Our next two clips are examples of this. When we first encounter Keyes, he is arguing with a claimant, seeking to get paid on a claim. Hear how Keyes turns the tables with smooth, direct delivery. Then, after erstwhile lovers, Phyllis and Neff conspire and successfully kill her husband to attempt to cash in on the double indemnity on the accidental death policy, hear how Keyes has his suspicions, and he brings them to Neff, in which he is confidently, and we find out later, hauntingly, painfully accurate, all on a simple hunch.
Come on, Gallopers. You're not kidding anybody with that line of bull. You're in the jam and you know it.
Says you. All I want is my money.
Says you. All you're going to get is the cops. Oh, hello, Walter. This is Sam Garlopez from Inglewood.
Oh, sure, I know Mr. Galopus. Wrote a policy on his truck. How are you, Mr. Galopus?
I ain't so good. My truck burned down.
Yeah. Now look, Garlopez. Every month, hundreds of claims come to this desk. Some of them are phonies, and I know which ones. How do I know? Because my little man tells me.
What little man?
The little man in here. Every time one of these phonies comes along, he ties knots in my stomach. I can't eat. Yours was one of them, Garlopez. That's how I knew your claim was crooked. So what did I do? I sent a tow car over to your garage this afternoon. And they jacked up that burned-out truck of yours. And what did they find? They found what was left of a neat pile of shavings.
What shavings?
The ones you soak with kerosene and drop the match on.
Look, mister, I'm just a poor guy. Maybe I made a mistake.
Oh, that's one way of putting it.
I ain't feeling so good, Mr. Keyes.
Yeah, just a minute. Sign this and you'll feel fine.
Sign what?
It's a waiver on your claim. Right here.
Here?
Here. Now you're an honest man again. Goodbye, Garlopez.
But I ain't got no more truck. $2,600 is a lot of dough where I live.
What's the matter, Garlopez? Don't you know how to open the door? Just put your hand on the knob. Turn it to the left. Now pull it towards you. That's the bars.
Thank you, Mr. Keyes.
And now, Keyes' suspicions.
What's on your mind?
That broken leg. The guy had a broken leg.
What are you talking about?
Talking about Dietrichson. He had accident insurance, didn't he?
Yeah.
Then he broke his leg, didn't he?
So what?
And he didn't put in a claim. Why didn't he put in a claim? Why?
What are you driving at?
Walter, I had dinner 2 hours ago. And is stuck halfway.
Little man of yours is acting up again, eh?
There's something wrong with the Dietrichson case.
Why, because he didn't file a claim? Maybe he just didn't have time.
Maybe he just didn't know that he was insured. No, that couldn't be it. You delivered the policy to him personally, didn't you?
Yeah.
You got his check.
Sure I did.
Got any bicarbonate of soda?
No, I haven't.
Walter, I've been living with this little man for 26 years. He's never failed me yet. There's got to be something wrong.
Well, maybe Norton was right. Maybe it was suicide.
No, not suicide. But not an accident either.
What else?
Now, look, Walter. A guy takes out an accident policy that's worth $100,000 if he's killed on the train. Then 2 weeks later, he is killed on the train. And not in the train accident, mind you, but falling off some silly observation car. You know what the mathematical probability of that is? 1 out of, I don't know how many billions. And after that, the broken leg. Now, it just can't be the way it looks. Something has been worked on us.
Such as what? Murder?
Don't you have any peppermint or something?
Oh, sorry. Want a little soda water?
No.
Who do you suspect?
Well, maybe I like to make things easy for myself, but I always tend to suspect the beneficiary.
You mean the wife?
Yeah, that wide-eyed dame that just didn't know anything about anything.
Oh, you're crazy, Key. She wasn't even on the train.
I know she wasn't, Walter. I don't claim to know how it was worked or who worked it, but all I know is that it was worked. I've got to get to a drugstore. This thing feels like a hunk of concrete inside me. Good night, Walter.
Good night, Keys.
See you at the office in the morning.
Yeah.
I'd like to move in on her right now, tonight. If it wasn't for Norton and his striped-pants ideas about company policy, I'd have the police after her so fast it'd make her head spin. They put her through the ringer. And, brother, the things they would squeeze out.
Well, you haven't got a single thing to go on, Keys.
Oh, not too much. Just 26 years' experience, all the percentage there is, and this hunk of concrete in my stomach. You one of those things?
Good night, Keys.
So long, Walter.
What makes film noir such an amazing genre, and one of the factors that makes it a personal favorite of mine, is that there is always a conclusion where a caper or plan falls apart. With this being the modern blueprint for film noir, this film has this, and it is heartbreaking, mesmerizing, and quite memorable. In our final scene for this week's review, Neff confronts Phyllis after realizing he was used simply for his knowledge of insurance as an insider trader in a sick, twisted sort of way. Or was he? I will leave that up to you, the listeners, to decide.
Hello, baby. Anybody else in the house?
Nobody, why?
What's that music?
Radio up the street.
Just like the first time I came here, isn't it? We were talking about automobile insurance. Only you were thinking about murder. I was thinking about that anklet.
And what are you thinking about now?
I'm all through thinking, baby. I just came to say goodbye.
Goodbye? Where are you going?
You're the one that's going, baby, not me. I'm getting off the trolley car right at this corner.
Suppose you stop being fancy. Let's have it, whatever it is.
All right, I'll tell you. A friend of mine's got a funny theory. He says when two people commit a murder, it's sort of like they're riding on a trolley car together. One can't get off without the other. They're stuck with each other. And they have to go on riding together clear to the end of the line. The last stop is a cemetery.
Maybe he's got something there.
You bet he has. Two people are going to ride at the end of the line, all right. Only I'm not going to be one of them. I've got another guy to finish my ride for me.
Just who are you talking about?
An acquaintance of yours. A Mr. Zacchetti. Come on, baby. I just got into this thing because I happen to know a little something about insurance, didn't I? I was a sucker. I'd have been brushed off just as soon as you got your hands on the money.
Nobody wanted to brush you off.
Save it, I'm telling this. It's been you and that Zacchetti guy all along, hasn't it?
That's not true.
Doesn't make any difference if it's true or not. The point is, Keyes believes Zacchetti is the one he's been looking for. He'll have him in the gas chamber before he knows what's happened to him.
What's happening to me all this time?
Don't be silly, baby. What do you think's going to happen to you? You helped him do the murder, didn't you? That's what Keyes thinks, and what's good enough for Keyes is good enough for me.
Maybe it's not good enough for me, Walter. Maybe I don't go for the idea. Maybe I'd rather talk.
Sometimes people are where they can't talk. Under 6 feet of dirt, maybe. And if it was you, they'd charge that up to Sacchetti, too, wouldn't they? Sure they would. And that's just what's going to happen, baby. Because he's coming here tonight in about 15 minutes. With the cops right behind him. It's all taken care of.
That would make everything lovely for you, wouldn't it?
Right. It's got to be done before that suit of yours comes to trial. And Lola gets a chance to sound off. Before they trip you up in the stand and you start to go in and drag me down with you.
Maybe I'd Sacchetti here so they won't get a chance to trip me up, so we can get the money and be together.
That's cute.
A film being ambiguous at the end, or even towards the end, is what makes film noir in a class of its own. It is left to us, the viewers, to make the final decision on who is right, who is wrong, and what happens after the words "the end" flashed across the screen. It comes down to our morals and our convictions. That is ultimately what decides who is the heroes and the villains in these films. Those feelings are what makes this genre so well regarded even today, and the films that are a part of it some of the most heralded and highly thought of. This film was very controversial upon release, with adultery, murdering of a spouse, and the dialogue being loaded with innuendo. The production code had fits over this film. It did not deter it from getting widespread praise from critics and being a box office dynamo. It made $5 million against a budget of $980,000. It was nominated for 7 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, Best Director for Wilder, Best Actress, Stanwyck, and Best Screenplay, both Wilder and Chandler. More than likely, due to the controversy surrounding the film, it sadly and quite unjustly won none of them. Regardless, this film is the perfect noir film and an example of everything that makes one of my favorite genres truly amazing. I hope you'll join me next week when we will look at high school seniors looking to have fun, lose their virginity, and have some warm apple pie in a very unconventional way. Our film is the 1999 teen classic, American Pie. For WMNH and Matt Connarton Unleashed, this has been a Classic Film Review with Erich Pilcher.
Hello there, Mr. Neff.